What's up, guys? We are back for a new episode of UFC Bro Picks. This is Justin. I'm going solo today. Ricky couldn't make it, and yeah, man, it's a pretty decent card in my opinion. Um, I know that it airs I think at 12:45 for me in the morning, but I'm still gonna watch every fight. We have a good main event. We have Michael Bisping versus Kelvin Gastelum. Um, you know, I think it's going to be a good fight. I'm excited to see that fight, and there's some other good fights in there too. I only have one bet, one play in the card. I'm on a bit of a losing streak. I think a 3 card losing streak, and I just want to get tighter out there and sharpen my plays. I do like more plays for the upcoming cards coming up, the tough finale card and UFC 218. So yeah, hopefully I catch this bet, and then we'll make more plays. But let's talk about the last card real quick. Yeah, I think I had minus like 1.8 on the night or something like that. I had 3 plays. I lost in Tybura. Man, he just didn't look on Verdun level out there. I thought he was gonna go out there and get a knockout. I think he won maybe 1 round, but he just didn't have the aggressive style that I thought he could. I mean, he hurt him in that last round, but he just didn't follow up, and Verdun just outplayed him, and I was wrong there. And I also lost on Tim Means. Damn, man, just Tim Means did not look where it used to be. I don't think he has it anymore. I mean, I know he beat Alex Garcia and everything, but I mean, he didn't have that killer instinct in that fight. He just kind of won an easy decision, and he picked him apart. And then against Bilal, I mean, Bilal beat him on the feet. I mean, it was a pretty close fight, but I do think Bilal won. I mean, Bilal didn't even get hurt in that fight, and Bilal was the one that was taking it to Tim Means, and Tim Means is usually the one that's more aggressive. So I think Tim Means might be on the downhill. We'll see who he fights next, but I had Tim Means parlayed with Elias. I know a lot of people out there hate Elias and all this stuff, and I'm not going to sit here and say he is a very good fighter. I mean, his fighting style is really boring. I do agree, but I just like his fighting style from a betting perspective. Like, I do think that he can beat a lot of guys in the division. I'm not going to say he can beat top 5 guys, top 10 guys. I think there's a couple of guys he can beat in the top 15, quite a few, but I'm not going to say that now. But I mean, I do think that, he's a top 15 guy. I don't think he's going to be the champ or anything, but I mean, am I going to sit here and say he's a really good fighter? No. Like, he's not an aggressive fighter. Like, he's not like an exciting fighter, but from a betting perspective, I like him because he's a point fighter. He knows how to win, makes it ugly in there. He runs away. I mean, look at the Dan Kelly fight. I mean, he won a 30-27 decision. Dan Kelly didn't do anything. I mean, Elias, kicked him a lot, threw a lot of volume, and ate him up with kicks. I mean, it is what it is. Like, you can sit here and say he's a terrible fighter all you want, but I'm gonna keep on cashing him, man. I mean, I know who to bet him against. I know who not to bet him against, and we'll see what happens with Elias. But a lot of people just like to shit on him, because they say he's terrible. But hey, I like betting him because I know what he brings to the table. So we'll see what happens next fight. I went on Adam Wajirek. That was a pretty ugly fight. I thought he was going to lose that fight, but it was right. It was the right decision. He didn't look that good in the first round, but he definitely won the last 2 rounds. Anthony Hamilton had his hands up in there, like, dude, you did not win that fight. You lost the second and third round. You didn't do anything. I mean, Wajirek was pushing the pace, throwing more volume, and I hope they keep Anthony Hamilton. I really do, because I can't wait to fade him. One more fight we'll talk about. The Will Brooks fight. Damn, man. I mean, if it wasn't for that whole Nick Lentz missing weight, the first time they're going to fight, I definitely would have faded him. I'm actually a kind of a big fan of Nick Lentz. I don't think he's, a really good fighter by any means, but I don't think he's a jobber by any means. And I mean, the guy went out there and, tapped him out in the second round. We'll see who Lentz fights next, and I hope they give Brooks one more chance so I can fade him. And I'm kicking myself that, I picked Brooks and I didn't fade him, because when the fight got announced, I really wanted to fade him. But then when, Wentz missed weight, I was all on, I'm on Brooks, but there's no way I'm betting him. But this is what it is. But all right, man, all right, guys, let's talk about the next card. The first fight of the night, I believe, is, let's see here. I'm pretty sick, by the way. I mean, I feel better, but if my voice is kind of messed up, I'm sorry. We got Sarah Asker versus Yao Zhang Hu. It's supposed to be Asker, I think, against James Mahorn or something like that. Yeah, man, Sarah Asker is pretty bad. He's one of the worst heavyweights out there. I know he hurt Wall Harris before he got knocked out, but the guy's just slow. I mean, I don't think he has a good chin either. He doesn't have much of a ground game. You know, a lot of guys are going to have a speed advantage. The guy making his debut, you know, who I don't think he's that good either. You know, I watched a little tape. He's beating a lot of jobbers out there. I'm not going to, you know, fade Asker here just because, like I mentioned, you know, when my video started, I'm just having one play on this card. Obviously, you know, there's some potential bets that I like, but I'm just going to have one play. I have a max bet, so I just want to, you know, sharpen up. But I think, you know, I do think who's going to win this fight. I just don't, I'm not going to pick Sire Asker here. And, you know, I mean, maybe if I didn't have, you know, just one play in the night, I would fade him here. But there's not a lot of tape out there. And, you know, the guy hasn't, you know, fought in the kind of guys Asker has. But still, I don't feel confident picking Asker at all. So I think this guy has enough what it takes to beat him because Asker is a huge jumper. And maybe Who is too. But I think this is a spot. And I do think the Who, you know, is going to be faster out there and can hurt, you know, that chin of Asker. So I got Who for the upset. But don't fade me. And, you know, he might be a pretty good steal for DraftKings. So next fight, we got Wuju Buren versus Rondo Dai. I didn't really watch that much tape on Buren. I know Dai is a pretty big jobber. I mean, the guy went out there and fought Leroy. You know, he made it kind of competitive, but, I mean, Leroy, you know, still beat him. And, you know, there was a doctor stoppage. And then last fight, I actually bet Teruto in the distance. And I don't know how Tudor didn't get a finish. I mean, he, you know, almost killed him in that first round and, you know, let him up. Just, I don't know what it was. Tudor kind of gassed a little bit. He still, you know, won that fight. But, I mean, you know, Dai's a tough guy. I will say that. But that's pretty much it, you know. He fights like a jobber. You know, he has a bad record. And I just don't, you know, think he's going to be in the UFC that much longer. You know, he retired and he's coming back. You know, we don't really need to talk about this fight that much more. But, you know, I mean, Buren, I mean, I watched like one fight of his. I mentioned I didn't watch much tape of him, but I mean, yeah, I mean, he's whatever. This is a weird fight. I mean, I'm gonna have to go with Dai, even though he's a very big jobber. But I hope he wins so I can fade him next fight. So next fight we got Yanin Wu versus Gina Mazany. You know, I definitely am picking Wu here. I think Mazany's terrible. I mean, I know she's, you know, faced better competition, but she's lost and she got smoked. I mean, she lost to Joanna Pena, like, what, 2-10-7s? You never even see that anymore. And then last fight against Sarah McMahon, she looked terrible out there. And, I mean, I don't think McMahon's good at all. I mean, I came with the fader again. I'm pissed that I didn't, you know, bet Caitlin Beer against her. I picked her, but I just wasn't confident in betting her. And, you know, it fucked me over. But anyways, yeah, I do think Wu is the better fighter here. You know, Gina is pretty bad on the feet. She's a wrestler, but I think Wu can keep it on the feet. You know, she's an aggressive fighter, a good striker. I definitely, you know, would be betting her here if I didn't have the one play. That's it. But, you know, it's a max, and, you know, I don't want to ramble about that. But I have a max play, one bet, and I don't want to, you know, have any more plays in the night. That's just me. But, yeah, I'll have Wu. I'm picking her for sure, and I like it for DraftKings. So next fight, we got Chase Sherman versus Shamill Akhmadumov. Yeah, man, I'm just not, you know, a fan of both these guys. I mean, Chase Sherman, you know, he got smoked against Justin Ledet. I mean, Ledet put a jab clinic on him. I'm actually a pretty big fan of Ledet. I know he didn't look that good last fight, but I think it was, you know, the ring rust. And Chase Sherman has good weight kicks. He has a good chin. That's about it. I mean, the guy could even put, you know, Bojan out there. And, I mean, Shamill, you know, he hasn't fought in a while. You know, he was beating Derek Lewis before. You know, he got taken down, got, you know, TKO'd. I mean, the guy, you know, he's a point fighter for the division, you know. You know, he does what he has to do to win, you know. I know he beat Wall Harris in an ugly fight. I mean, does he have a good chin? I mean, he doesn't really get hit that much. I know, you know, Derek Lewis took him down. He's an ugly fighter, man. He's one of the ugliest guys, you know. Like an ugly fighter style for the division, but you know he gets the job done. You know, Chase Sherman is just, you know, has terrible fight IQ, and I can't pick Chase Sherman here. I don't think the guy's good at all. I don't think, you know, Shamil is a top 15 guy, but I mean, I think his point, you know, his point style and you know, the way he fights, I think he can pick apart Chase Sherman and, you know, fight at distance and, you know, not get hit and, you know, avoid those leg kicks. I mean, Chase Sherman doesn't really throw, you know. Doesn't have really the best hands. So I'm going to have to go to Shamill. But, yeah, it's a pass from a betting perspective. Next fight, we got Yadin Song versus the Indian Bharat Khandare. Yeah, I didn't really watch tape on this fight. I'll have to admit right now. I heard a lot of people saying that, you know, Khandare is pretty terrible and all this stuff. I think the guy that was supposed to fight Khandare was was pretty damn good too, and a lot of people are gonna pick him. But this is, you know, this fight I think just got made a couple days ago because the guy got hurt, so now it's this Song guy. I'll have to go with Song though. I just, you know, from what I heard, I don't think Khandare is that good, so I'll go with Song. Next fight, we got Kylan the Goat Curran versus Jan Zanyan. Yeah, I'm never picking Kylan Curran ever. I mean, I don't think I ever have before. You know, I faded her last fight with Abu. You know, I was there live, and it was a sweaty fight. I mean, Abu, you know, gassed after a couple minutes, and she definitely won the first round. And, you know, I think she lost the second, but I think she won the third. Damn, I mean, Abu just, that gas tank is so bad. I can't wait to fade her. But Kieran's terrible, man. I mean, really, like that fight IQ is so bad. And the funny thing is, I could have got plus money to, you know, fade her. But like I already mentioned, like 100 times, I only have one play of the night. It's a max. I'm not betting anymore. But I do think that, you know, Song is, you know, or not Song, sorry, Yan is, you know, a good play. You know, I'm gonna have her on DraftKings. She's gonna win. Kieran's terrible. I hope Kieran doesn't get cut because I want to fade her next fight. I know a lot of people are saying that, you know, well, Yan's, you know, Chinese and all this. Like, I don't think she's, you know, faced a lot of good girls. You know, she's faced some pretty good girls, and she has a pretty good side on the feet. She's aggressive, you know, good striking. I mean, could Kieran win this fight? I mean, I don't think so personally, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, Kieran just looks so bad out there, though. I mean, you know, her first fight against, what is it, Paige VanZant got smoked. Then she fought Chambers, you know, got tapped out. Then she fought Emily Keegan. I was actually at that card live. I believe it was the card. I think it was the one that Sage was on with Cody Pfister. And wasn't it Van Zandt versus Rose? Yeah, because I was at that card live. And Emily Keegan went out there and, you know, won the first round. And then, you know, she's like a 800-year-old soccer mom. So, I mean, you know, she gassed. And then she lost to Jamie Moyle. Jamie Moyle's terrible. And then, you know, we saw what she did against Abu. And I think she fought another girl too, but I forget. But yeah, the girl's just bad. Really bad fight IQ. She quits. I don't think she's good anywhere. And I actually do think that Yan, you know, has a pretty good, you know, stand-up style. I know we haven't seen much of a ground game, but I mean, I don't think Kieran has a ground game. I mean, people are saying that she's like a wrestler in college or something. Have we ever seen her wrestling? I mean, we saw her on the ground versus Abu, but I mean, she didn't really do anything, you know. Abu pulled guard like an idiot. I mean, Abu just like has a terrible fight IQ, and Abu still beat her and with that bad, you know, fight IQ and bad cardio. So enough of my rambling. I'm gonna have to go at the end here, but yeah, it's gonna be. I'm not gonna bet this. I'm not gonna bet her, but yeah, I'll pick her. And I do think that she's gonna be a good DK play. So next fight we got Keenan Song against Bobby Nash. Bobby Nash, you know, he's 0-2 in the UFC. He's actually faced pretty good competition though. You know, Hot Chocolate Roberts is a pretty good guy. And, you know, Bobby Nash went out there and won the first round, then gassed and, you know, got knocked out. Before that, I think he fought who did he fight before that? He fought the Leech. You know, damn, he dropped Lee a couple times, man. And, you know, I thought he was going to knock him out. And then, you know, he gassed again and got knocked out in the second round. I think he took him down too. And he's a very good wrestler, man. You know, D1 wrestler, you know. His chin is suspect. He has bad cardio. But I don't think he's a jobber by any means. I mean, the guy has, you know, pretty good stand-up. He has a good left hook, has power, and, you know, he has good wrestling. I mean, it's about his gas tank. He took this fight on short notice, you know, so we'll see what happens. But I don't think Keenan Song is that good. He's coming off a loss. He might be coming off 2 losses. He quits, you know, when he gets hit to the body, and I don't think his chin's that good either. So I'm going to have to go with Bobby Nash here all day, but it's a pass. And if Bobby Nash gets KO'd, then, wow, then, I mean, he's officially a jobber, but I don't think he will. And I think he's going to go out there and, you know, make quick work. So he's going to be a big play for me on DraftKings. But the line is like, what, minus 300? Yeah, for betting. All right, so next fight we got Zabit versus Zabit Magomedsharipov versus Shane Moraes. It's a pretty closer fight, I feel like, than, you know, a lot of people are making it out to be. A lot of people think that Zabit's going to go out there and smoke him. I mean, Zabit, don't get me wrong, he's good. You know, he's a good fighter. You know, I mean, he looked very good in his debut. You know, big for the division, very good striking. A lot of people are saying he's like the new Pettis and all this stuff. Yeah, man, Sherman Moraes, I mean, the guy's good too. I know he lost to Moraes at 135, but I mean, I think this is his natural weight class. You know, he's beaten a lot of guys at WSOF. And I mean, I think this fight in the feet could be pretty competitive. I mean, Zabit, if he goes out there and takes him down, I mean, he could win. But I think it's going to be a 3-round war. I think it's going to be back and forth. And I think that Zabit has, you know, a little better fight IQ, more tools in the feet, And I'm going to have to go with the bigger guy here, Zabit, by a 29-20 decision. But, I mean, Shaman's live, man. He's definitely live. And I might play him on DraftKings because he's a huge dog. All right, so first fight of the night, we got Muslim Salikhov versus Alex Garcia. I know I butchered that name, but yeah, sorry about that. So yeah, we have my first play of the night. You know, I have Muslim parlay with someone else later in the card in a max bet. And I know a lot of people here, you know, criticizing him because, you know, he doesn't really have much of a ground game. We haven't really seen it in all this. I know he's been tapped out. His only loss a long time ago. But I don't think it really matters here. I mean, it's a long time ago. The guy's striking style is legit. I mean, this dude, I know he's beaten a lot of jobbers, but the way he's doing it, I mean, the arsenal he has in the feet, he doesn't have just spinning stuff. I mean, he has, you know, good left hand, a good right hand. I mean, the guy is a beast. I mean, look at all the fights he has, like, you know, outside of, you know, in kickboxing, all this stuff. You know, he's a Russian, so I think, you know, he might have, you know, a better ground game than a lot of people are making it out to be. I mean, he wasn't training with, you know, Corey Anderson, Mark Henry, and, you know, Frankie Edgar when he, you know, lost that fight. I mean, he's developing now. I mean, I know, say what you want about Corey Anderson. I mean, the guy has a very bad chin, but the guy is super good grappling. The fact that he's training with him now, I mean, I don't think it'd be easy for Alex Garcia to go out there and take him down. I mean, does Garcia even have really good wrestling? I don't think so, you know? I mean, Garcia took down Sean Strickland a couple times, and, you know, but Sean Strickland doesn't have the best takedown defense. That's the thing, you know? And Alex Garcia gasses men every fight. I mean, when does he really look good? And I know I said, you know, it's true, Muslim, you know, hasn't really beaten, you know, any legit guys, but the way he's doing it, and Alex Garcia, I mean, who is he beating? I mean, no one either. I mean, Mike Pyle, like, come on, dude. What would Muslim do to Mike Pyle? And the thing is, Sean Strickland doesn't really have power in the feet. I mean, I like the guy. You know, he's a good fighter. You know, he wins fights, but, you know, I mean, he finished him, you know, with strikes. I mean, Alex Garcia just doesn't have a good gas tank at all. You know, he's built, you know, like a bodybuilder. He gasses after a couple of minutes. I mean, yeah, he throws power, but I mean, that's it. I mean, he throws power for a couple of minutes, and then he gasses, and his chin's, you know, I don't think his chin's that good either. I mean, I know he's only been finished a couple of times, but I just don't think he likes to get hit. And even if he gets, you know, Muslim down, I think Muslim can get back up. I mean, this isn't the same guy that, you know, took his first all a long time ago. I think he's developing, like I mentioned, you know, now he's training with, you know, a good camp. And that striking style is vicious, man. I mean, I don't care that he's beating jobbers. I mean, just the way he sets up those spinning kicks and, you know, the way that he sets up his strikes, I don't think Garcia can take it. And I really don't think Garcia is the guy to beat him. So, yeah, man, I'm very confident in this play. And, you know, I have him 5 unit max bet parlay with someone else in the card. We'll talk about it later. But I just don't see why a lot of people are saying that, you know, Alex Garcia is live here. I mean, I just don't think Garcia is that good. I've never been a big fan of him. I mean, Tim Means, you know, beat him pretty easily in, you know, one-sided fight. I mean, the guy knocks out Mike Pyle, but I mean, Mike Pyle has been KO'd like 7 times. I mean, you know, he faded against Sean Strickland. I mean, he didn't look that good against Mike Swick. I mean, you go out there and KO Mike Swick. The guy is, you know, on the verge of retirement. And I know he won the fight, but did he look that impressive? Like, I don't think so. And I know, when was the last time Alex Garcia got a sub? I mean, like against Chris Heatherwick a long time ago. So even if Garcia gets him down, like, is he going to be able to, like, just, you know, tap him out? I don't think so. I mean, he weighs on you. And the thing is, like, I don't even think it's going to be able to get there. I think Muslim's going to go out there and knock him out in the first round early. So I think Garcia's going to go out there and try to bang with him and just get knocked out. So if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I mean, I think, you know, I know, you know, Muslim's making his debut, but I'm confident here that Muslim can go out there and start him. So I got Muslim all day by first round KO. Next fight, we got Wang Guan versus Alex Caceres. Yeah, man, I got Guan here. Yeah, I was actually thinking about, you know, betting him before I made the max bet. And yeah, man, Leroy, he's a pretty inconsistent fighter. You know, I mean, the guy just beat Dai, but I mean, who's Dai? I mean, huge jobber, you know. I do know that he went 5 rounds with Yair, though. I mean, that was a pretty competitive fight. And, you know, he's been knocked out, you know, 135 versus Francisco Rivera. He had no business at that weight class. He really didn't. I know he beat Sergio Pettis, but, I mean, Pettis is a flyweight. And let's be real, Alex Caceres, the featherweight now, I mean, he's way bigger than him. You know, Guan, you know, his striking's pretty good. I definitely think he's a more aggressive guy. You know, I do think he has more power. And, you know, he's lost to, I think, 1 Russian. And I believe that, you know, he didn't give up in that fight. I mean, you know, he lost the fight, but came back and almost beat him in the 3rd round. He beat another Russian who's like 32-5, I believe. I know the guy's been knocked out 4 times, though, or TKO'd. But, I mean, he showed, you know, like that, you know, he got taken down a couple times in that fight, but I mean, he stuffed the third one and then like just hurt him in the body and got a TKO. I mean, it was pretty impressive. But like I mentioned, the guy's been TKO 4 times, so I mean, maybe his chin's pretty bad. But yeah, man, I do think that Guan, you know, his wife, I do think he's going to win this fight. You know, Leroy is just so inconsistent for me to pick him, and you know, I'm gonna have to go with Guan here. He's upset, and you know, I kind of like him for DraftKings. So our next fight, we got Li Jingliang, the Leech versus Zach Ottow. You know, initially I was thinking about, you know, picking Zach Ottow, and then I watched the tape, and the guy, you went to a split with Josh Berkman, kind of a grindy style. You know, he throws body kicks. You know, he doesn't really have that much stand up. I mean, you know, he has wrestling, but I mean, he could even take down Josh Berkman. But I mean, Berkman has, you know, pretty good, I guess, takedown defense. He won a split there. You know, he got taken down against Berkman. I mean, it's an ugly fight. You know, I scored a Ferrata, but it wasn't that impressive. And then he, you know, went out there and lost to Sergio Moraes. Initially, I actually thought Ottow, like, you know, won that fight when I watched it, you know, live, and then I rewatched the tape, and yeah, Ottow didn't win that fight. So I don't even think it was split. I mean, I think it was, you know, 29-28, you know, Sergio. And then, you know, the next fight, he went up there and beat, you know, Kutimoto, but Kutimoto's pretty bad, man. He made it close, too. And, you know, the Leech, you know, I know he goes out there and gets dropped every fight, but, I mean, Ottow doesn't have that power in the feet that, you know, Bobby Nash does and that Camacho does. I mean, look what the Camacho just did against Brown. I mean, Camacho's a warrior, man. And, I mean, I think that Leech can go out there and starch him, man. I mean, Leech might be the best Chinese fighter of all time, like a lot of people are talking about. He will be faded soon because, you know, he gets hit a lot. And, you know, he has a good chin, but, I mean, he gets hurt every fight. And, you know, he doesn't have the best takedown defense either. But, you know, he's a nasty fighter, man. You know, he throws bombs. He's a tough guy for sure. And, you know, his cardio is, you know, pretty good for sure. But, yeah, I'll go with the Leech by I'm all in here. I don't think Ottow's that good. And I think I happen to be having on DraftKings. So next fight, we got the main event, Michael Bisping versus Kelvin. I have the second leg of my, you know, max bet on this fight. This is pretty funny because I know, you know, last, you know, podcast, I was talking, you know, crowd rookie saying that, you know, Bisping's live. I think Bisping's going to win this fight. But, you know, the funny thing is, you know, I wasn't really thinking. I mean, one reason why I said that is because I was pretty butthurt still about, you know, I had like a 9-unit bet on Kelvin, like the biggest bet ever against Weidman. I mean, you know, I was so confident that Kelvin's go out there and beat him, and I lost that fight. You know, I was still kind of pissed about that. And I've said to people, I'm off the Kelvin train. I'm never betting him again, all this. And then I bet on Bisping versus GSP. And then, you know, when the fight got announced, I'm like, wow, I think Bisping actually might go out there and beat him, you know? And then, you know, that was pre-tape. Then I went to watch the tape, and I was like, wow, yeah, Bisping's not winning this fight at all. And, you know, I'm back on the Kelvin train for this fight. Bisping doesn't have the grappling that Weidman does. I mean, Bisping has, you know, good striking, but it's not in Kelvin's league, you know? And a lot of people are saying that Kelvin's a welterweight and all this. I mean, yeah, maybe, you know, he might go back to welterweight. He's talking about that, like, in the future. But, I mean, I do think that, you know, it's a very bad matchup for Michael Bisping. I mean, not only we're talking about Michael Bisping coming back every 2 weeks, but even, like, besides that, like, even if, like, that wasn't even the factor, like, I think Kelvin's still, like, a bad matchup for him. I mean, he's the better striker, in my opinion. He's definitely faster out there. He has more power. And I know, you know, he fought, like, you know, like, he fought really conservative last fight, you know, because he was threatened about, you know, the takedown. I mean, Weidman took him down multiple times, but he fought, like, you know, like the counter, kind of like the Michita style, like, you know, like, he was waiting for the counter punch. Like, he just did not fight the aggressive style that Kelvin usually is. He's not going to be worried about the takedown here. You know, Michael Bisping legit on the way out. The guy already said he's retiring, you know, in March or like UFC London. I mean, the guy lost his belt. I don't think he has that fire anymore. And, you know, like I mentioned, even if he did, like, even if he was the champ, like, Kelvin is still going to beat him. I mean, Kelvin's striking serious. I mean, and you know, the funny thing is, too, is Kelvin has a pretty good ground game, too. So, I mean, if Kelvin gets Bisping down, I mean, I think he could choke him out. I mean, I think Kelvin can do the same thing GSP did. And GSP's never had good striking in his career. And GSP goes out there and, you know, he looks like the better guy. But, I mean, maybe Bisping just looked really bad. I mean, he did. Bisping did not look in good shape at all. I mean, Bisping, you know, had his moments, but GSP was still winning that fight, hands down. GSP, of all people, dropped him and choked him out. So, I mean, I know I bet Bisping there, which is a pretty dumb bet, but, I mean, when I went back and watched that, I mean, GSP, like, really? Kelvin's striking is legit, man. And, I mean, I think Kelvin could honestly, like, beat a lot of guys at 185. I mean, you know, I just don't think he should go to 170. I mean, you're having trouble with weight, just stay at 185. I mean, you beat Tim Kennedy. I mean, that was a pretty good fight. Smoked him. I mean, you got taken out one time, and I mean, you won every striking exchange. I mean, Tim Kennedy had no answer, and then you knocked out Vitor Belfort. I mean, I know Bisping's better than both those guys, but still, though, I mean, even though this is a striker versus striker, I mean, come on, man. I mean, I don't see how people would, pick Michael Bisping. I mean, I know I picked him, last podcast, but that was just because that was, pre-tape, and that was just one reason because I mentioned because I was still pissed about Kelvin. But yeah, man, all that aside, Kelvin is easy money here in my opinion. I mean, Bisping's chin, what's up with his chin now? I mean, 2 weeks ago, he got choked out, or 3 weeks ago. I mean, Dan Henderson dropped him 2 times. I mean, he's a tough guy, but he gets hurt a lot in his fights. And Kelvin is the guy that's going to, take advantage of that. I mean, he smells blood, he's going to be all over it. So I think the speed advantage is going to be really big here for Kelvin. I think that's what's going to win him the fight. And I think Kelvin's going to go out there and make a statement and get a first-round finish. So I got Kelvin parlay with Muslim at plus 115. I know, I have, just the one play of the night, the max bet, but, I think it's going to cash. And, I'm excited for this card. My most confident picks are going to have to be, Kelvin Muslim and Bobby Nash and fading, Curran. Curran has no business in the UFC anymore, but let's hope she stays in the UFC. So that's my one play. The one play of the night. I already rambled why I only have one play. So, we have 2 cards next week. We have the tough finale card. Damn, I mean, there's a lot of bad fights in that card. Well, I mean, the fights on there right now are not that bad, but there's going to be a lot of bad fights, all those girl fights. I actually have a couple pretty big lanes, though. I mean, with a couple fights in the card right now, I can't wait to see what the lines are going to be. And then UFC 218, there's quite a few plays that I like. So I'm going to be having, a good amount of bets on those 2 cards, But yeah, all right, guys, we'll be back. Ricky will be joining me next week. He just couldn't make it today. Had some, personal stuff. But yeah, man, we'll be back next week for those. I mean, I think we'll probably do 2 separate cards. But yeah, everybody have a good Thanksgiving, best. I hope everybody has a good Thanksgiving, and hope everyone gets fat out there. I know I'm going to try to gain like 20 pounds, tomorrow. So good luck, everybody, in their bets. Hope everybody cashes, and I'm going to be watching every fight, even though it starts 12:45, I'll be watching every fight. So hit me up on Twitter, and we'll talk fights, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Later, guys.